So the Israelites lay siege to Jericho. They crossed the river Jordan. They laid siege to Jericho. The walls come crumbling down, which I'll tell that story in more detail probably next week. And we jump to Joshua chapter 6. Everything in Jericho has been destroyed. Everything wiped out. And Joshua said to the two men in chapter 6, verse 22. Joshua said to these two men, he brought them forward. He says, "Go now, go. Bring the woman and her family out. Bring them to us and let us and put them in front of us." So the young men who had been spies went in and brought out Rahab, along with her father, her mother, her brothers, and all who belonged to her. They brought out all her kindred and set them outside the camp of Israel. They burned down the city and everything in it. Only the silver and gold and bronze and the vessels of bronze and iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. But Rahab the prostitute, with her family and all who belonged to her, Joshua spared. Her family has lived in Israel ever since. For she hid the messengers from Joshua. She hid the messengers when Joshua sent to spy the land. A woman. A prostitute. Who exercised a faith, who exercised a coup against her own people. Who hid people she had no business hiding. Who saw the Lord. Who knew that the God of Israel was the true God, and knew his power, and knew who he was and who these people were, that they were called of God. She set her life on the line to help people destroy her own town. She exercised faith. Rahab is mentioned 3 other times in the Bible. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 31. Anybody know what Hebrews chapter 11 is called? The Hall of Faith chapter. The Hall of Faith chapter. This Canaanite woman, this prostitute, this person who served another religion altogether, is put in with names such as Moses, Abraham, Joshua, I want to say Joshua, Isaac, Joseph, Samson, David. In verse 31, her name is said, "By faith Rahab the prostitute did not perish with those who were disobedient, because she had received the spies in peace." James chapter 2. Look over that one. James chapter 2, verse 25. In James's talk about faith and works, he says this: "Likewise was not Rahab the prostitute also justified by works when she welcomed the messengers and sent them out by another road?" She showed her faith. She's praised for her faith. Not necessarily a follower of God. Not what the Israelites would call a follower of God. Not what people in Israel wanted to see. Not what people, the religious right, would think this is a wholesome woman. This was a prostitute from another religion. This was a prostitute from another religion who is made famous throughout the several books of the Bible. In the Old and the New Testament, she is praised for exercising faith in God. And I said she was mentioned in 3 other places in the Bible. Right? I said 3, right? I only showed you 2. Matthew chapter 1. I already, there's a lot of controversy over whether this is right. Whether this is the same Rahab. But Matthew chapter 1, and under the subtitle, Genealogy of Jesus the Messiah. At verse 5, and Salmon, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but that's okay. The father of Boaz by Rahab, and Boaz the father of Obed by Ruth, and Obed the father of Jesse, and Jesse the father of King David. I've said this before. I don't know if you know this, or I don't know if I've said this to everybody in here, but if your name is written in the Bible in one of these things, it's important. It makes a direction to it. It says this is an important event. And if you're a woman and your name is written in the Bible, that's even extra special. That means there's something extremely special about you. And I don't care if you argue that this is Rahab the prostitute or Rahab, another Rahab. If it's another Rahab, why is her name mentioned here and nowhere else in the Bible if there's another Rahab? So just by that logic alone, this tells me that a prostitute from another religion made her way into being one of the great-great-great-great-grandmothers of Jesus Christ our Lord, on her father's, on Joseph's side. So what does all this have to do with anything? I don't know. I don't know. But telling that story, hearing that story, and knowing that we don't have to be perfectly blemish-free in order to serve God. We don't have to get our lives right before we serve God. We don't have to be from the right lineage. We don't have to be from the right nation. We don't even have to be the right gender to serve God, to become a Christian, to be part of the family of God. God takes us all. All we have to do is exercise faith. Faith, because Rahab could have been turned over by her family. Her family could have turned her in. These guys right here, those two spies, could have betrayed her and said, the heck with this. You're in Jericho. God told us to destroy Jericho and everything that's in it. You're in it. So we get to kill you too. But I don't know. Maybe she saw a chance for a better life. Maybe she saw a chance to get out of the situation that she was in. Maybe she saw a chance for change. And she trusted that these men were going to be the men of their word. And trusted that these men are going to be who they say they were. And that they were going to save her, and her life was going to be different because she had put her faith in God. Apparently, she was no longer a prostitute after she left Jericho. If you know the story of Ruth and Boaz, Boaz was a rich, wealthy man. He was a prince. He owned fields. Salmon was his, and Salmon the father of Boaz. Salmon was his father. Making sure I got that right. And Salmon, the father of Boaz. So if Boaz was rich, guess what? His daddy was rich. And that would mean his mom had access to wealth. And she was a highly respected person. You can find all the excuses you want to say there can be no prostitutes in the lineage of God. Well, guess what? Jesus' family wasn't perfect either. Okay? Jesus' family had crazy uncles and aunts we don't talk about. And great-great-grandmothers that are, praised for faith, but we don't say what she did before that. It's just as messed up as yours. But it's okay. We can learn one thing from the life of Rahab. It's like faith in God changes you. Faith in God changes everything. You go from a poor child sold into prostitution to being praised in the hall of faith with Moses and Abraham. Being one of the great grandmothers of the same grandmother. Take that. Think on that. Reflect on that. Write something in your journal about it, knowing that God changes everything.